In last November's election, a majority of voters, 57%, said yes to an amendment that would legalize recreational marijuana. But under Florida law, the measure did not pass because it failed to get 60% approval. Now the state's largest medical marijuana company has launched a new effort to okay recreational cannabis in Florida. If backers gather enough signatures, the question would appear on the ballot next year. They revised the ballot language to address concerns raised by opponents during the last election. However, getting a proposed amendment on the ballot could become harder if Governor DeSantis has his way. That's because in the special session that begins on January 27th, the governor wants changes in how an amendment gets on the ballot. He wants to curb fraudulent activities and petition collection and reduce special interest influence over constitutional amendments. DeSantis pointed to a recent investigation by the Secretary of State, which he said uncovered widespread fraud in gathering petition signatures. The proposed changes in the law would focus on stricter verification of signatures, requiring IDs similar to the ID needed for absentee ballots, and potentially mandating that signatures be notarized. So, Patrick, the big question is, was there widespread fraud in gathering signatures for Amendment 4, the abortion rights amendment last year?
There were a few people who got signatures fraudulently. They just wrote out documents. But what is missing in this is that they were caught. The signatures were caught. We didn't accept these signatures. We did not accept these petitions. These petitions went to the supervisor of elections, and they rejected it. The system works as it's designed to. There's big money in these petition gathering, nowadays, because there's a whole lot of rules with it. And so he's increased the cost, the legislature increased the cost of doing these drives. And so they've created really their own problem, but there was no widespread fraud in actually these items getting on the ballot. Now marijuana also, they've tried to tried to adjust this wording to make it more, to get to the 60% they need. But one thing they are not doing is they're not doing homegrown marijuana, allowing that. And a lot of people had a problem with this being big farm, now just coming big marijuana.
Well, so they're not solving the problem.
It is addressed.
It is addressed?
In the new language.
They put it homegrown?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. I did not catch it.
Absolutely, yeah. And that was one of the things that was interesting, because DeSantis, I think, knew his strategy in trying to bring down Amendment 3 was that it was going to be popular, and it got over 50%. But so they went after people who supported marijuana and talked about it being big marijuana. It doesn't allow home grow, which, by the way, they could pass themselves, and they never cared about that before. Joe Redder went to court about that. But this has been addressed. But look, this is going to make it, if these measures get through, it's going to be tougher to get constitutional amendments on the ballot.
Carmen, let me ask you quickly: do we need to tighten the regulations around signature gathering for constitutional amendment petitions?
We did it with voter registration. I see some wisdom in it. I think it would be, because again, I mentioned on one show I was on previously, I did have a few people come to me and say they never signed the petitions last time around. And I just think that there needs to be a tightening up of that. But two, I have a problem as a Republican. Some of this stuff needs to be legislated and not codified into our Constitution. So I wish our legislators would do more to put it into legislation and solve some of these problems instead of it being codified into our Constitution
forever. Why doesn't the legislature do that? If most of the public is in favor of abortion rights or marijuana, why does the legislature take it on?
That's a great question.